We have traveled back in time to 2015. On your local game store single display, you have to choose between buying either a Tamagotchi or 2 Force of Will. You have $250. What do you buy? Stay tuned to find out if you made a good investment. Okay, play it.
Hi and welcome to the channel. This is for you new people looking to start a collection. But hang on, old timers, please don't go away. We would love to get your insight into how you started your Magic the Gathering collection, and please let us know down in the comment section if you have some really good tips for the new people who are looking to start their Magic the Gathering collection. If you're completely new to Magic the Gathering and you don't have any cards at all, what I would recommend is going to an LGS, your local game store, and getting in a game of draft. When you draft, you get some packs and you get to play. And here you'll meet new people who can tell you about the game, tell you what cards are popular right now, and you'll also get a feel of the game and what might be some valuable cards to get for your collection. And you'll have a few cards to put in your binders and you've already started your collection. Also, you might be able at your location to trade in some of the cards that you don't want to play with into some store credits at the LGS. And when you're ready to do it, buy some really good cards, maybe some real estate. We'll get into that later on. So that might be a great way to get started.
Trading upwards is a really good idea. If you can get rid of some of the less expensive rares or mythics you have and get some more desirable rares and mythics, that's a really good way to start a collection. And the higher tier cards have a tendency to retain their value much more likely than the lower tier cards. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to get playsets of the cards you really need. Playsets is a really good idea. Magic Gathering needs to have 4 cards in a deck, so having playsets is a really good idea, and having numerous playsets in desirable cards will retain a lot of value. The exception to this rule, of course, is Commander. In Commander you can only have 1 of each card in a deck, so their playsets are not that highly sought after. Commander was a format started to make use of all these single cards you had lying around and being able to put a deck together quite fast and have a really good and varied playtime with your friends.
Many years ago, Wizards of the Coast created something called the Reserve List. If you're new and don't know what it is, this is a list of cards that they promise that they won't make any functional reprints of. This means that some of the cards on the Reserve List have very, very high value, such as Power 9. Buying cards from the Reserve List might not seem like something that's affordable to you, but the Reserve List is really large and you should probably be very critical about what kinds of cards you're buying from the Reserve List, because there's loads of low tier, low value Reserve List cards that aren't worth a lot. But right now, for example, what we're doing is we're buying a lot of the cards pre-2000 because we think these might be some of the cards that will go up the next time we have a price increase. Some of the cards that people usually start out with are dual lands from Revised, because that's really liquid, highly tradable, and some really attractive cards to have in your collection.
On the get-go, it might sound like a great idea to buy big collections when they come up for sale. Older players get rid of their collections, and this might just be a really good way for you to start your collection, you might think. But hang on, be careful. When you buy a big collection, you are buying a lot of cards in bulk, and you should not be paying full price, or maybe you shouldn't be paying at all to get the bulk card. Pay for what actually has some kind of high card value. Cards below $3, $2, you should not pay for those when you buy a big collection. So you're going to buy a bulk and you're going to regret it later. Those money you pay might be much better invested into some high value cards, or maybe even cards from the Reserve List.
Speaking of dual lands, we need to have a bit of a talk about something called real estate. Real estate is all the different kinds of lands that you run in your decks in Magic. Every deck needs to run some lands, and you can run both basic mana, but if you want to have decks that are a bit more powerful, you run different kinds of other lands, such as dual lands. These are really great and really highly investable, and some of the really good cards to invest in. Also, if you want to start out with something a little less expensive, you can consider buying some of the original fetches, either from Onslaught, or you can get some fetches also in Modern Horizons 2. These are also really attractive lands, really attractive real estate, and you definitely want to sink some money into some real estate, because these will be really great for trading and for building your Magic the Gathering collection.
Cards not on the Reserve List are a bit more tricky to speculate in and to also invest in. A lot of cards are going to retain their value, but some cards might not over time. That has to do with cards rotating out of standard and also has to do with the number of reprints of a specific card. So if we go back to our intro, if you in 2015 had to choose between buying Force of Will or buying Tarmogoyf, you might, looking at the graph, have chosen Tarmogoyf because at that point in time it had been rising steadily and was quite an expensive card. But what happened to Tarmogoyf was a lot of reprints. Tarmogoyf got reprinted back to back and a lot of times, which drove the price on a Tarmogoyf straight into the ground. Force of Will, on the other hand, has actually retained its price over time despite having quite a few reprints also. So that goes to show that it's really hard to know what cards will retain their value over time because it depends on the policy that Wizards of the Coast has. Of course, Wizards of the Coast are also interested in retaining some value on their cards since they need to be able to sell premium master sets with reprints of older cards, and they can only do this if the older cards are having some kind of value for collectors. So when collecting, start out small. Don't go all in. Invest over time since you will get a better spread, and also invest in your decks. Build your decks over time, build their power levels, slowly making them better and better and better. That is a really good and fun way also, because we are players after all, to build your Magic the Gathering collection.
And where do you start buying your Magic the Gathering collection? Well, that will depend on where you're placed in the world. If you're in the US, like many of our viewers are, you can go to TCG Player and you can order cards and they are fairly reasonably priced. If you're like us in Europe, you'll have to go to Card Market, or personally, we like to buy on our local Facebook groups. There are a lot of groups where people have a lot of references, so if I'm buying a really expensive card, I can just request a reference, check on him in the group, and everybody will let us know that, okay, he's a really decent guy, he sends his card fast, and the cards are always really nice when you get them. Do think about where you get them from, because there's a lot about condition that you need to learn more about, and that will be an upcoming video later on, because if you're buying high value cards, you need to make sure they're as close to near mint as possible. We hope you enjoyed this little video about how to build a Magic the Gathering collection. Please let us know down in the comment section if you have other ideas or if you found this video useful.
So if you like this video, please consider again liking, subscribing. It means a lot to us and it helps us build our channel.